to Auto Care On Air, a candid podcast for a curious industry. I'm Jackie Lutz, Content Director at the Auto Care Association, and this is Carpool Conversations, where we collaborate on today's most relevant power skills. We are all headed in the same direction, so let's get there together. This episode covers all things work-life balance. I have with me Trevor Potter, Chief Product and Marketing Officer at DMA Industries, and JC Washbish, President of Aftermarket Auto Parts Alliance. And you will soon find out why these two were carefully chosen to speak about this topic and what it does or does not mean to them. Thank you for joining us. Let's ride. I would love to be a fly in the wall at like a family reunion at the Washbish house. Just hearing you, at least in your father, and I don't know what your other siblings are like or your mother, but like, is it just a riff fest?
Not a lot of big words. No, don't actually. No, I mean, I think my dad's funny, but he's not. He doesn't riff. He doesn't.
Yes, he does. I've heard you guys riff.
Improv. Oh, well, a little bit.
A lot of it.
But that's part of the shtick. Is you got to lean in with. He's not really that good. Low expectations, and then we can get you.
Yeah. Nice and low. Yeah. So we're talking about work-life balance. And I'm really excited about you two because there was very specific reasons that I wanted you to. Trevor, you have I think it's a very cool take on work-life balance because you've risen in your career. You've always done great things. You've gained all the skills you need to be successful. Yet I've known you for 10 years and kind of watched you on social and things. And you're having a ball outside of work and managing to rise in both, taking on new hobbies all the time and prioritizing your health and all that kind of stuff while still rising in your career. And I think it's really inspiring and fun to watch.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. I guess I don't know any other way to be other than you got to be who you are. And I think everything is the best thing ever. That's what my wife always accuses me that can't possibly be true. But I think if you have that mindset, and I do, work is amazing. And getting to hang out with cool people is amazing. And not working, doing other things is great. I don't know what to say about that, except it's just who I am.
Yeah, and we can kind of get into it a little bit, but it's funny because like the different companies you go to, it's like you're always going there to shift the culture and you bring people around you that you actually like to be around and that have fun and that enjoy each other and they have optimism.
Well, look, I mean, there's a solid group of people in our industry that are super crazy passionate. And those are the people you can plug in to any organization, and they're going to make a big difference.
Yeah, Trevor, I like that you love everything, and everything's the best. It reminds me when I was in high school, I did an economics teacher, and part of the high school curriculum was teaching elementary school kids, like third graders, like basic economics. And we would lead, like when we'd get a new class of children, I would start with, okay, what's your name? And then I'd just ask, what's your favorite? Like, what's your favorite?
That's awesome. And
this exercise with like third graders, man, the favorite is, well, I don't know. I mean, is it pizza? Is it Spider-Man? Is it soccer? Like, what's your favorite? But every child will have an answer. Aww. Like, and it'll be different. Some will copy each other. Go into a room of like 30 adults today and ask, what's your favorite? It's impossible. Like we've through because of how we matured and we've lost that infantile, mindset of just being optimistic and hopeful and having a passion for something. And instead you get favorite what? It has to be compartmentalized. There has to be, some kind of rhyme or reason just an adult can't comprehend. And I think having the mindset of everything is great. That's a great way to look at the world because no matter what you're doing, then it is great.
Well, okay. So answer your own question then.
Oh, what's my favorite?
What's your favorite?
Well, today it was Lake Michigan.
Nice.
Yeah, I got up early and the sun was rising over the lake. And I mean, my favorite was mobility this morning, being able to do it. Last week, I was on Washington, D.C. on the Hill, and I ran the mall first thing in the morning. And then, so my favorite now is just the ability to go from the National Mall to one of America's great treasures and our Great Lakes and run Lake Michigan in Chicago. And that's, for me, I'm pretty lucky to be able to do that. Within 1 week, have a couple nice, pleasant mornings to myself.
It's funny because I don't run as much as I used to, but that was always my favorite way of exploring a new city. And like you said, you get up before most people, and whether you're with a work colleague or not, it's just a really magical way to start the day.
It was fun. And then we got to come do this morning with Jackie behind her soon to be most listened to podcast in the aftermarket.
It's a small pond.
After they delete our episode.
Well, yeah.
Well, obviously.
The pilot never makes the cut.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What's your favorite, Trevor?
Van life.
Yeah.
Yeah. During COVID, my wife and I bought a 13-passenger Sprinter van, and we're both really handy, but no actual skills, just fearless about, making mistakes and giving ourselves shocks. And we built it during COVID on the weekends, and we lived in California at the time. And now I understand why people stay there, even though it's unaffordable and has a lot of problems. I mean, we did 62 trips in 4 years. Now it's,
You work on the road?
Yeah. In fact, we have a full internet setup, and we can bake, and we have heat and queen size bed. And it's been amazing. Like waking up in the mountains, and even if you're on video calls all day, it's still pretty cool. Then you can, take a break for lunch and go for a hike. And I don't get to do that right now, but every free moment we're in the van traveling somewhere.
But 13-passenger van, how many seats though?
So now it has 2.
So it's a 2-passenger van.
Yeah, we
that you can live in, because I think 13-passenger van, I need one.
Yeah.
I'll take one.
Which is a great segue, actually.
No, it's not. That's not a segue.
One of the reasons I wanted JC on the podcast is because he has 7 kids. And I've never known anyone who...
That's a weird reason to want someone on your podcast.
Well, because work-life balance, I've seen you make real sacrifices that I would consider sacrifices to be with your family.
Having 7 kids to advance my career.
You leave earlier in the morning.
Well, from an employer standpoint, you got to have faith in me. I'm not going anywhere. I need the job.
Yeah.
Right? I will be working.
It's a lot of mouths to feed.
That's right.
But what I really, really admired, and you were one of the first people I thought of for this, was because last Apex, you flew out to Apex and then flew home to have Halloween with your kids.
Let's not.
And then flew back.
First, I had permission by said employer.
Sure.
Yeah, look, I'm lucky. 7 kids. I'm blessed. Got a great wife, a great family life. And, I would say the one thing, I don't necessarily like going around and touting that I have 7 kids, because I'm pretty sensitive to people that don't have children or can't have children. And that's a balance, right? And so I would say anybody listening to this, look, take what you can get and take what you want. I mean, I think that's part of it. And I never thought when we were first married or even dating, we never really sat back and said, we should have like 7 kids. That never came up. But just as we started to have children, and we're fortunate that we have healthy children, that we have kind children and happy children, and we have a pretty positive, everything's great, right? With kids with us, everything's great.
Yeah.
That's sort of the Trevor mentality, and there's a lot of favorites in the house. So sometimes, and you want to say work-life balance, I don't believe in work-life balance or necessarily the concept of that. I believe there's life, and in life you work, and that's just part of what you do. It can define you. It doesn't have to define you. Some people want work to define them. Some people don't. I did skip out on a night at Apex. I would not recommend that to everybody listening. I think Apex is a very important part of your career in the automotive aftermarket. But the reality is I made sure my schedule was clear and had an opportunity. Yes, I snuck home. I could do it very easily. Southwest has a direct flight to San Antonio. It was like $69. Boom, in and out. I didn't even bring a bag. What was really rewarding was getting home, and then my then at the time 12-year-old son opening the door saying, "Why are you here?" Oh, happy Halloween. I mean, trick or treat. I got a rock. Like, oh, great.
Oh,
glad we surprised you. And literally took a 6 a.m. direct the next morning. Had the cab drop me off at the convention center at the Sands and hit the show floor. and like didn't miss a beat. People, hey, what'd you do last night? Oh, I went trick or treating. Ha ha ha. Okay. I went to Caesars. Oh, okay. No, for real, what'd you do? I went trick or treating. Where? Fremont? No.
No, the candy was better in San Antonio.
It's very important though, because I think, a lot of younger professionals coming up, they think they have to give up all of their hobbies and work really hard, and they might have certain values in the back of their head, but they're not necessarily following those early on because they think to get to your guys' level, that's not an option.
So let me give you my 2 cents on that. That's a leadership opportunity, I'd say. Not a challenge, but an opportunity. And what I mean by that is whatever organization you're part of, that the leader of your organization is the one that should make you feel like you have the choice, if it's really important for you, to modify your work obligations to make sure that you follow through on your family obligations. Because if family's good, work's good. And if family suffers relentlessly or continually, work's going to suffer, and you're going to want to make a change. And I think part of work culture is, we work hard, and it's a great industry. It's a hard industry. It's challenging, but those are the little things that we should make sure we do.
No, I like that, Trevor, but I think Jackie prefaced it well, and you just reiterated it. You got to work hard. I think sometimes people just think, you show up and some stuff gets done, and now I'm owed this weekend, I'm owed this day off. And that's not the reality. I mean, if you're grinding, if you're working hard, it's easier, like as a manager, to say, you can take that day, or you can go do that because you're producing.
Yeah.
There's some things that for me, there's just no negotiations when it comes to some people, like religious obligations. I think it's so unfair, and I'm willing to leave a job because I practice Roman Catholicism. There's days of obligation. When I'm on the road, I go to mass every Sunday, Saturday at 2:00 at Guardian Angel on Apex. And that's to get my obligation fulfilled. That's a non-negotiable. We're just not, you have to do that. So if I had a Hindu working for me, a Muslim, a Jew, you have these holy days of obligations. We have to respect that. I think that those are like a deal breaker. On the flip side, for me, some things that aren't deal breakers are like your own personal birthday. I don't care. like happy birthday. You might have to work today. And so I think, it's sometimes you got to look in the mirror. And I would say early on in the career, the people that might be listening early on, you will have to make some sacrifices. You will miss some birthdays, yours or others. You might miss an anniversary, but you got to look at it in the big picture, because at some point you're building yourself up to the position where, no, I don't have to do that. That's the lower level guy. And this is any career. If you're a pilot, you get the bad, you're getting the red eyes out the gate. Mm-hmm. If you work in hotel and hospitality, you work the night desk. And that's where seniority matters, but also that's where you prove your worth. But some things, I think it's important. You have to get your own moral compass on, and it's okay to put the line in the sand and say, no, if you are a birthday monger, you have to have your birthday off. Let it be known. It might be career limiting in some aspect. I don't know. Jackie, you take the birthday off?
I actually just recently I've tried to start. I don't always get it off, but I tried to, just because I have toddlers at home. They have daycare during the day, and once in a while having a day to myself. And usually sometimes I pick my birthday.
You had a strategy where if you just don't acknowledge the birthday, you don't age.
I wish.
Yeah, me too.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, I'd have hair.
So we all agree that the true definition of work-life balance isn't really relevant.
Yeah,
right?
I don't love the word.
I don't.
Just life.
It implies that no matter what, you're doing it wrong. And I think to your point, JC, it's what works for you and what works for the organization you're part of. And I say that to new team members all the time. And we've hired somebody new in my team every 3 weeks. It's been crazy busy. And I say to them, there are days when, 8 to 5 is going to be great. But when it's not, and we've got something that has to get done, there's no option. That's what makes the difference, right? That's that relentless approach to serving your customer. And I know it sounds hokey, but I believe it. And what's great is we try to hire for that, right? And I don't know exactly how we always figure that out, but it's important.
Yeah. And I think you're right, though, where like you say it's an opportunity for leadership. It's an opportunity for leaders. Because I remember when, Trevor, you first hired me into the aftermarket and you worked with me for 2 solid weeks.
I'm so sorry about that, by the way.
I like that. Hire and then leave.
I took the job not because of how sexy TPMS sensors were, but because I wanted to work for Trevor.
And then he leaves.
And then he left.
Nice guy.
At
least you didn't.
And I felt
at least you
guilty.
didn't recruit her at the new place like 2 weeks later.
Oh no, that would have been bad. No, the idea was we needed to create this stable, place within Schrader to be successful, and I knew she could do that. And so, that was the sad part for me. Is it was the right choice for me in my career, and it was the right choice for you in your career. And so I spent the next decade trying to make up for that through guilty service. So.
You have, hence the podcast.
Yeah, so Jackie, how long were you there after Trevor hired you?
10 years.
I mean, that's pretty good job.
Yeah.
I mean, as the employer to bring someone on, is that one of your parting gifts? That's pretty good.
Well, he started me off
ROI.
on a good fit. He got me all the equipment I wanted to be successful. I thought that was cool, especially being younger, and just stepping in. You don't really know what to expect. But I definitely had that mentality where I'm like, I'm about to work 24/7. I'm going to get it all done. That was kind of my mentality. And I remember, Trevor, one time you said to me, mind you, this was like a solid 10 years ago, and I still remember it. You said, I don't place any weight on people who work a lot of hours. That just means that you work a lot of hours. You can get the same amount of work done in fewer hours. That's equally good.
And the smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Totally.
I think a lot of young people, especially, and people new in their career, look at me. I'm here early. I'm here late.
Yeah.
Look at me. I don't, I just want to see at the bottom of that balance sheet, where are we?
Or the people that maybe like send an email at night. So you see that they're working. And it's like, that's fine if you want to work at night, but that doesn't necessarily.
That just means your balance maybe isn't the way it needs to be. I mean, neither of you have probably seen this, but there's a great ad you can look up, and it's the ESPN steaming cup of coffee. And it was this joke ad where this guy had created a steaming cup of coffee, and it would just be steaming for days. And it was on his desk, and he was never there. It was kind of like a Ferris Bueller day off kind of thing.
That's pretty good.
And the boss would walk in at 7 a.m. and like, look at that. Jones is here.
That guy's good.
Here early. And wow, he's burning the midnight oil, and he was like off at the baseball game. So that's kind of how I think about that.
But you mentioned the email at different times. Todd Hertzler of Robert Bosch Company. He's a big shot there, international traveler. He's got a tagline on the bottom of his email, and I love it. I love this tagline, and it's along the lines of, just because I'm sending this email at this time does not mean I expect a response from you outside of normal working hours. Basically, like, relax.
That's awesome.
I love that. I got it. I'm going to steal it because it's such a great. Why is he sending the email at who knows what hour of the day? Because that's his balance. He's got a wife, he's got boys. That's when he's getting the work done. And to your point, Trevor, like, just as long as the job's getting done. And if you're van lifing, you might not be able to crank out that email if you're passing through the Sierra Madres right now.
Right.
I mean, it's so like you're going to get to it when you get to it.
Right.
But as long as you're getting to it. And I think that's important for people to know.
So I heard someone comment about the difference between the out of office responses from emails for people working in the U.S. versus somebody in Europe. And
what is Europe? It's
Italy. Like,
it's summer. I'll see you in September.
Yeah. And the American version of that is I'm currently in the process of getting my spleen removed. I will be unavailable for about 90 minutes, but I will be.
But once I wake
voicemails.
up, once I wake up, so I am anti out of office. I'm anti out of office email. Not anti. You can work somewhere else, but I do not like the out of office because we got to make a choice here.
Yeah.
Are we hybrid remote? Or are we not? Because if we're not, like, I almost want to throw that edict down. Okay, listen, you can, if you're going to be in the office from 8 to 5 every day, then you're permitted to use an out of office email. But if we're going to be flexible, no out of office emails, please.
I don't use it at all because it also implies that you're not available when you might need to be, or it's important to someone to be able to reach you and they feel like they shouldn't.
You never know when someone's going to reach out to let you know about your car's extended warranty.
Or that small business loan that you didn't know you needed.
Or that Nigerian prince that needs some help.
Right.
Well,
right.
I can confess some embarrassing facts. So
what, you use the out of office thing?
Well, yeah, I'm not embarrassed about that.
But like,
yet,
but when do you use it? Like, oh, I'm at Auto Care Connect this week.
No, I don't think I have an out of office on right now.
I do like the out of office at Apex. I love that when people say, I'm going to be at Apex all week, so I won't, duh.
Yeah.
Like we needed I'm here also. I see you.
Yeah. I think I use it more as like a FY. It's kind of like me signaling to them, like if I don't get right back with you, don't think that I'm ignoring you. I'm actually out of office, but I end up getting back to them. I'm always on my email. I'm always trying to be responsive. I think the only times I don't use it is like if I'm going on a vacation where I really do need to unplug. But even then.
I think I would make my exception would be true family vacation and just, hey, but can we be
But again,
with
it's signaling. Maybe we need to call it something different.
Just, hey, I'm freaking on vacation.
Right.
See you when I get back.
Yeah.
Like, why not? I think sometimes too, we have this tendency to be so verbose in our messaging and emails. Like, can we just use plain speak, people?
Yeah.
I'm in Hawaii. Leave me alone. Oh, cool. Good for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'd much prefer that than I will be gone for 7 days.
Well, I remember distinctly on my wedding day, waking up and checking my email. But like, it never felt like work because I was just passionate about what I was doing. And I was gone for the first time for 8 days. I'd never taken a vacation that long and wanted to make sure everyone had what they needed for things to move forward. I never felt like it was heavy. That was my system. And I remember.
Like the day of the wedding, you checked email?
Yeah. And I remember about to have a baby, the day I got induced, answering emails, like laying in bed. But it's like,
what else are you going to do during an induction? I've been through a few of those.
Yeah.
You've got time.
It's just another day. It's a Tuesday. But like, I'm sitting there anyway, and I love my job.
I want it on the record. We're not commenting on labor and delivery and that it's just another day. That was Jackie. I think that's for when you talk life, because you could always be on. And for some people, life is work. Just there is like, that is the most joy you're going to have. You just want to grind. You just want to, count the numbers or whatever it is. And that's great. For some people, I want to punch the clock and I want to punch out and I'm done. And that's great too, because we can't all just be great. Not everybody can be the CEO.
Well, right. Should it be safe to say that, like in an interview? Like, this is the kind of job that I want?
I would love it. I would love to see that, because I think it's good for management. Sometimes you want to know, you just got a guy that's going to be a grinder, or you got a girl that just wants to come in. Look, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And I don't care. I don't care where we're going with the industry. None of that matters to me. I just want to do well at my job and provide for my lifestyle or my family or whatever that is for me. And I think that should be liberating for management, for the team members, but you have to know it. I mean, I think you have to identify it as a leader, and for the other, junior leaders on the team, recognize what you have there, so you're not extending that person when your expectations are set.
I totally agree with that. I mean, you need those people in your organization, and as long as you hire them for the right position, and also provide them with some protection, because not everyone in the organization will be okay with that, right? You'll have people that will be frustrated when it's 5:00 and they're going to their kid's soccer game. That is something I noticed working for the association, is there are a few people on the team who really do have a strict work-life balance, like a code. And, when I've tried to reach out after hours, because I've always done that before, I'm kind of the same way without saying it. I don't expect anyone to answer me if I work after hours, but you're sending the message. Hopefully they don't feel the pressure. But I've had people say to me, well, so-and-so, really shuts off at 5:00, wants to spend time with their family, this and that. And I never look down on them at all. I almost respect them for having boundaries. But I don't think every workplace is like that, where people don't see that as being lazy or not committed. I totally agree. I mean,
I don't think it's lazy.
You talked about working at Natera, And I used to travel to Japan for work a couple times a year. And I remember with the time zone, I would get up at be like 4:30 in the morning, and I'd go for a long run in Tokyo. And you'd run by dozens and dozens and dozens of cars with young workers dressed in suits sleeping in their cars because they couldn't bear the traffic to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And those same folks, we'd go out, do our business, go out to dinner, you know, a little karaoke, whatever. And at midnight, they'd be leaving to go home. And I was just awestruck at how hard they worked and how that culture.
Unbelievable culture.
Yeah,
unbelievable, because they work so hard and they party so hard.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
I thought I was pretty good at partying, and then I realized I knew nothing.
Against the Japanese? No way. I loved it. No. I think, Jackie, you have the expectation, though, of what your coworkers are doing. And again, it's just understanding where the team members are. And I think that's fine. What I don't like is I don't like people that didn't put a perception on somebody like, oh, they'll never pull overtime, or they'll never work late, so they're lazy, or they don't want to advance. I don't think it's lazy. They might not want to. I'm on the ladder, the corporate ladder, but I'm comfortable. And that's some people just have a passion for where they're at in that role, and that's great.
Mm-hmm. Did you always feel that way? Because I think, for the role you're in, the role I'm in, well, that's like, because we're not that way, right? So
I want to go 100 miles an hour all the time and just keep going and win. And I think what I struggle with is when people don't want to win, or they don't. It's not that they're not hungry, but they don't appear hungry. And I think that does frustrate me. But again, it's understanding those players and. Yeah.
But isn't that different? No, sorry to interrupt, but I mean, you have people that have a strict code about how they want to operate their life, but while they're there, they could be all in wanting to win. But then there's people that don't want to win, and to me, those are really different. Yeah,
no, I'm with you, but it's me. Okay, this is Taylor Swift. It's the problem. It's me, and identifying that with the people and realizing no, it's not that they don't want to win. They do want to win. They don't express their passion for it the same way.
Got it.
But yeah, because if you're a bum and you don't want to win, you're not really grinding, you're not working, probably not going to work out in this role. Probably not the gig for you, because I think you should be. Nobody should settle for a job, and some have to. I mean, that's the sad reality. Sometimes you're just going to settle because that's what's available to you. But hopefully, those that are in a position to create an environment where people want to come in and do well in any capacity, or at any passion level for the job or the career.
So for you, if you look at somebody, you're an extrovert, they're an introvert. Is that kind of where you're coming from? That they're really passionate, but they just express it in a very different way, or is it something different?
Yeah. So actually, I'm not an extrovert.
So you're an extroverted introvert?
Lies.
I am. No. Oh, Give me my house, my couch, my kitchen any night over anything. Oh, yeah.
You hide this well.
Oh, I don't want to see you. I'd rather be home. That's 100%. I mean, I love people, and I think the people, especially in this industry, are what make it so special.
That's so shocking to me, because I've known you for so long, like at least 10 minutes in person, and I've totally misjudged you.
No, I'd rather be at home. I just rather don't be offended. That's just what I like.
No,
right?
I'm not offended.
But if you're in a room full of people, like you're at Apex,
it drains you.
Does it drain you?
No, because I'll go find all the other introverts and just dominate their conversation. Extroverts are a lot of work. It's hard to get a word in.
I thought we were supposed to be truthful on this.
Yeah, really. I consider myself
as if I don't go dominate a conversation. Please,
I consider myself an extrovert, and you can dominate conversations that I'm a part of. But I love it.
Yeah.
So I think we need to take a test.
I think so.
I think you need a test. Yes, I think you need an extrovert test.
Hi, I'm Ted Hughes, Executive Director of AWDA and Senior Director of Community Engagement for the Auto Care Association. We provide our members with numerous avenues for connection and collaboration through our diverse range of committees and communities. Whether you're interested in advancing your career through the Women in Auto Care program or our vibrant Under 40 group, or simply wish to network and glean insights from fellow distributors, shops, and manufacturers, we have dedicated committees and communities eager to connect with you. Learn more at autocare.org/communities.
So selling auto parts and funny and trying to get the family to understand what you do. The other day, this is a true story. I'm at home and we're flipping through the TV and Tommy Boy is on. And my 14-year-old is just laughing. And it's the scene where Tommy just gets back home to the office and he surprises his old man. And, David Spade's like, why wouldn't you get an office? You've been here for 10 minutes. And my son is he's dying. And they do the plant tour. He shoots the oil can, through as he's buffing it through the window and hits his head on the crane and the new brake division. And my son loves it. And I was like, isn't this such a great movie? And he looks at me and goes, Dad, I've never seen it. And I go, wait, no, man, like you've seen Tommy Boy.
Wow.
He goes, no, we've never watched it. I go, how have we never watched it? I've seen it every day of my life, right? He goes, we never watched it. He goes, but Dad, just watching this first 10 minutes, I get it now. I'm like, you get what? He goes, well, every time you meet somebody new at like the soccer fields or school or whatever, and people ask you, what do you do for a living? You just say, have you seen the movie Tommy Boy? That's what I do. And he goes, and now it makes sense. And I'm like, oh, so now I'm like, but who in the film do you think I'm like? Like, obviously I'm like David Spade, right? Like really dialed in. Or I'm like, the dad goes, no, you are Tommy Boy. I'm like, I don't know how rewarding that is.
His hero.
Yeah.
Luke, I am your father.
Yeah. So we need to watch Tommy Boy with my son.
Yeah.
I don't think my kids have seen it either. It's the only movie I can quote as well as Elf, which is my kid's favorite. Yeah. Even though they're grown, we watch it multiple times a year.
You strike me as Elf. And you started this podcast with it.
So true.
Because everything's great.
Yeah.
That's what my wife.
Greatest cup of coffee. Wow.
But he's endearing, and I'm not knocking him.
Oh no.
I think he's endearing. I think he's cute. He's witty. He's fun. I mean, he's awesome.
Thanks, man.
I think that's great. I'm just like big fat guy.
Fat guy in a little coat.
Fat guy in a little coat. A lot of people go to college for 7 years.
That's right.
I did.
They're called doctors.
Yeah, well, I know we were talking about this at the beginning, but that was...
You have a connection to Tommy Boy.
I have a connection. When I was working for Uniselect in the early 90s in Canada, they used our warehouse to film that scene where he was walking through the warehouse trying to sell brake pads, and then also the scenes where he was setting fire to the ambulance upstairs in the executive office. And so, yeah. So
here comes the meat wagon.
That's right.
You guys in the back puking out his guts. Oh, my God. All because you want to save a few extra pennies on some brake pads. Get out.
You're Tommy Boy. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Well, I'll send you the picture.
But you met Tommy. Like you met Chris Farley.
I met Chris Farley. He had the jacket on. And the cool part was I asked if I could take a picture with him. And his assistant said, yes, but make sure you ask him. Don't just take a picture. And I thought that was weird because he didn't seem like a big star. He just seemed like a big, lovable guy. But so I waited for a break and asked him. And he came over to me and put me in a headlock, gave me a noogie, and then he literally jumped back and went, I'm just kidding. And then right after is the picture, which I'll send to Jackie, and you can use that as you will. So
I love that.
That was amazing.
I love that because you can see it and just talk about a guy that left too soon.
Oh my gosh.
But same, like everything was great for him. Mm-hmm. And what people don't know about Chris Farley is he donated a lot of his personal wealth to other organizations and he had a really good friend that was actually a Catholic priest and funded a lot of things for his diocese and his church and and he'd go work at soup kitchens. Chris Farley would.
Wow.
And nobody knew about this until after he passed, and a couple of his close friends said, yeah, that's like Adam Sandler said, yeah, that's the kind of guy he was. And I think we need more people like that.
Wow.
More funny people. I think that, what was Chris Farley's work-life balance? It was just comedy from 0 to 100 all the time.
Yeah. But you know what? He was different because I think a lot of comedians find humor in demographics, making fun of certain demographics and like that, which is fine. Other people. Where I feel like Chris Farley, he was just...
self-deprecating.
Yeah. It was just... It just oozed out of him.
That's true humor. I think self-deprecation is the best. Yes.
Right? Like it didn't, I mean, it was an act. He's acting, but it was really just an extension of his own.
But it doesn't sound like he was acting. Like even the way, your story, I'm like, that's exactly what I would expect him to do.
Totally.
Give you a noogie and be joking with you. I'm so happy.
Well, and I
love
think this full circle connection for me is one of my favorite skits, and one of the few times that everyone broke character was when David Spade and Christina Applegate were on SNL.
I already know what you're talking about.
He was doing the,
van down by the river.
Van down by the river.
Your life.
Matt Foley.
And now I'm in a van down by the river as often as I can. So
Yeah,
Matt Foley, motivational speaker.
You are the motivational speaker.
So he's Tommy Boy. You're Matt Foley.
Okay.
Is that fair?
We both lose.
Yeah.
And I'm just David Spade giggling
Pretty much.
on the couch.
And that's pretty good. It's good.
Yeah. I would love to do
Hey.
a round robin and just what's the takeaway? What do you want people to know?
What do I want them to know? I don't know. Just it's a few things. Okay, you might have to work on your birthday.
If you take nothing else,
I alienated a decent amount of the listeners by saying, don't take your birthday, and I recognize that, and I probably pissed off a bunch of people saying, don't use the out of office. Don't use recall. Don't use the recall the email. It doesn't work.
It just makes you want to read it so badly.
Oh yeah, no, and then you can because you've already got it. But I would say really for people that are listening to this that want to advance their career and like just be next level and be great, and they're thinking, okay, there's this magic pill or this silver bullet to work-life balance. There isn't. I would say there's just not, and you need to figure out what your life is and what's for you. And I would say hopefully you work in an organization where you can express that and you can have expectations. And if you're running an organization and you want to be this kind of leader that will allow openness, good, because I think the ROI on that is better than being a demigod that's just, no, we're going to do it this way or the highway. I think in life, you have to make sacrifices for anything. And that's, so when you say like, I'm going to, work a weekend because I have to go to a show. I gotta go to Apex because it's over Halloween and I'm going to miss it because this is what's good for my career, which will advance other things. You have to recognize you're going to have to do that. And that's no different than like you, Jackie, come Friday night, you've got 80,000 invites to go do so many things with all your friends from all over. You got to pick one, right? You're going to have to sacrifice something. So don't be surprised if you got to sacrifice and make a decision in work. And I would say where you should also have some non-negotiables that center you and keep you leveled. So like maybe you work your birthday. I don't know if you're going to be out of town for some kids' birthdays. And I think we need to respect that, anniversaries, that's up to you, but like, if your daughter's got her dance recital, you should go like that. And we shouldn't, like, you should do, hell or high water. Cause how many of those are you going to get? And don't take that from your kid. So, and you might miss some basketball games. You might miss some baseball games. I think it's unrealistic sometimes to think you're going to be at every soccer game but at the major stuff, your high school football, final night, you might want to be there for Billy. And I think so. Those things, high school graduations, things like that, the huge milestones, you cannot miss those. And as an employer, you should do everything you can to empower your people to be there, because that's life. Those are the life moments. But the life moments that will always be with you, and at some point, you start looking back in life. You get to an age where you start looking back. I just finished a great book. Vic Dirks, MPA, recommended it. He sent me a book, and it's a book about this guy, Sam Hell. His name's Sam Hill, but Sam Hell, and he was born with a rare genetic disorder where his eyes are red. So instead of like having brown eyes or blue eyes, they're red eyes. They're like red, and they call him Devil Boy, and it's about his life. And unbelievable story. I highly recommend it. The Incredible Life of Sam Hill. Thanks, Vic. There's a plug for you, Vic. But in the book, it talks about at some point a man reaches or a woman reaches a point in their life where you start looking back. And it's not looking back to be nostalgic and not, you're going to get to this point in the book. It's by the end, not taking anything away from the book. But it's not that you're looking back to say, oh, those were the good old days, or, oh, I missed that. but it's to sort of reflect on, it was the little things. It's the day to day. The milestones are great. You accomplish a milestone by everything leading up to the milestone. All right. We're all Peloton users on this podcast. We just alienated a lot of people.
They're all gone.
but if you are familiar with Peloton platform, every ride you do, every run you do, every lift you do, it counts as a workout. And then they have these milestones. The 1000th ride that you do, that's an important ride. The 999 got you to that. And I think that don't lose that it's every day. So, when you can, be home for dinner, eat together as a family, put down the phone, like get rid of the screen time, be present. That's why, Trevor, I love you living in a van, because you're just, how can you can't escape adventure if you're in a van. All it is adventure. All it is your surroundings. And I love that. And I think, how often do we enjoy the surroundings? And that's why I chose to start my day to day by having a moment to go look at Lake Michigan, with the sunrise, and to get a run, because I'm fortunate enough to have mobility, and I can walk, I can run. Some people can't. Anybody that's ever lost mobility will tell you, man, I wish I had that. So just living in those moments and taking the opportunity. I was up late last night too. It's probably too late, but I chose to do that because I had a finite window of time to be with people that I really care about and love in this industry, and to connect with, and to spill some of the tea. And so you got to take those moments. I think that'd be my takeaways. It's not about work-life balance. It's about life. And in life, there's a lot of milestones.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. It's powerful. And I liked what you said about the non-negotiables, and to reinforce that, it doesn't matter where you are within the organization, you should feel compelled and enabled to talk about those. And if they're not brought up by your leader, you should still bring them up, because the worst thing would be to go through a great career for many years and give up those things that should have been non-negotiables.
Agreed.
I like that. And savor every moment. I couldn't agree more. I mean, we didn't talk about this on this podcast, but I'm a big cyclist, so used to ride 3,000 miles a year. Wow. And I got hit by a car and spent 8 days in the hospital, and luckily didn't die. But I didn't realize 8 days in the hospital, you try to get out of your bed and you literally can't walk, even if you're feeling better. And my wife was so upset and worried from that moment on. And it was weird, because for me, it was the opposite. I was so incredibly grateful to be fine, to be alive. I had recovery, but I didn't, I still have my mobility, to your point. And I'd love to try to figure out a way to make everybody in their lives and in their industry, in our industry, feel that same way every day, feel that gratitude for, like, we work in an amazing industry. I love literally all the people I've got to work with over the past 30 plus years. And even if you get 100 emails a day, like, you should take a moment to walk around your office, whether you're a leader or not, and check in with people. Because I think, to your point about less screen time, I mean, holy cow, work is a lot of screen time. And email is not work. Email is someone else assigning you tasks sometimes, or CCing you, or CYAing you. And I think it gets us removed from the connection that actually makes our industry fun and honestly makes business work. We have a rule: if you're in our office, and it's a pretty big office, and we have a meeting, you better get your butt to the boardroom so that we can talk face to face and have frank, open conversations, get your input, and make good decisions. And it's not everybody wants to do that. And we make it a requirement. And it's led to some pretty exciting conversations about things, and, being frank and direct, but that's how you move quick. And we're not a big company, but we move quick because we make sure to make those connections and spend that time in person. So The other thing I would say, and gosh, you just did such a great job, JC, of just summarizing a lot of the feelings that I have as well, is you couldn't possibly thank and appreciate the person in your life that's left behind when you go to work.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, I think the sacrifices that my wife has made, when we lived in Canada, she made 4 times as much as I did, super driven. Like, I've never met anybody that works harder at everything, whether it's parenting or managing me. But the support she gave me is why I'm in the place that I'm in. And so, you know, whoever that is in your life, there's no possible way to appreciate them enough. And I definitely could have done a better job when I was younger in my career. So, you know,
I love that.
I try to make up for it now.
No, I think that's a great takeaway too, that be grateful and you need to recognize you didn't do this.
Right.
I mean, there's not a single person that they did it all on their own. No way. I mean, and it's that support at home. It's your circle of friends and your teammates, your leaders, people that work with you, people who work for you. You know,
David Spade couldn't have got it done without Tommy Boy.
No, he couldn't sell. He couldn't sell things on a troop train. I mean, there's things he couldn't do. So, but it's funny when we talk about, you mentioned like friends in the industry. You know, growing up, my father, he's involved in the industry a little bit. And
wait, what?
Yeah,
Who?
He sold a couple parts. And when I was a kid, I did not understand why my dad had like no friends in our town growing up. Like we weren't doing dinner with the neighbors. He wasn't friends with it because he was traveling. He was working his butt off. I got all that. And I remember once like getting mad at him and being like, you know, I've got all these friends on my high school. Anybody can have friends in high school. And for those of you that didn't, I'm sorry. And I will be your friend now. Call me. But like
easy monthly, easy monthly payments.
Yeah. For $1 a day. But I was like, all your friends, I remember yelling at him once, all you care about are your friends at work. That's all you care about.
Wow.
And he just looked at me and goes, yeah. He goes, they're my friends. And then I struggle. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not your friends. They're either buying something from you or you're buying something from them. You know, like I could not comprehend how you could have how could your core friends be the people that you work with? Fast forward like 30 years. It's like, oh man, I don't have any friends at home. Like, and it's amazing how you like genuinely care for these people that you work with, that you compete with. I mean, like competitors that are friends. Like I want everyone to win. And you started, Trevor, the conversation with everything's great. And like, man, that one thing that is so nice about this industry is we can compete and still be great and still be friends and take care of each other. And when we should, whenever we can, however we can, take care of each other.
You just described how politics needs to evolve.
Good luck.
That's a different podcast.
It's a different podcast. And this will be out of order, but I did want to share one thing with you. First of all, it totally resonates with me having so many friends all over the world in our industry and very few at home. The last company I worked from home for 4 years, and they're some of my closest friends now because I got to see them all the time.
Yeah.
Well, my biggest takeaway is I want people who have all different views of what I'm still going to call work-life balance because I haven't
You need to come up
figured out a different word. But I want them to know that it's okay either way. Like if you want to work your butt off, do it. Like
we need it all.
Yeah, we need it all. But at a young age, I was brought up in a very unique way. And I feel like I spent
By
most of my
in the wild.
Just more like in a bubble. Very, very very secluded, I would say, from really the world, which isn't a bad thing. But like coming into the world, I think I had this viewpoint that I just needed to figure out how to fit in. So like it's easy to lose yourself at a young age. And then you get to be 35, 36, you have 2 kids. And then you're like, what do I actually value? What do I actually want to do? It's kind of like you're trained a certain way. And I was trained to work hard because I tied my value to that. Right. And I just want young people to know that you can make that decision now and you don't need to make compromises early on in order to get to a certain level later, unless you want to. So
Yeah.
that's my biggest takeaway. And for leaders too, let your young people make that choice and don't devalue that.
I think that's good. But again, it goes back to that expectation. Like if you're a young person and you want to be CEO tomorrow, it's just not going to be handed to you.
Yes.
And the other thing is, kids, you got time.
Yeah.
Like enjoy the ride. When I was at NGK, I was the lowest level sales guy possible. I was so low, they made a new title. They made a new title.
Just use guy?
Just the guy. But I had this incredible management team at NGK with Mike Schwab, who's the big shot pulling the trigger there now. He was just so great, and he was so open to like letting you do what you want to do. And Cal Colburn was the guy that hired me, and Cal's just, oh man, you want to talk Tommy Boy? It's Cal Colburn, just one of the most beloved people I think in the industry. Everybody loves Cal, and we had so much fun. But because I was so low on the totem pole, like at Apex, my job was vacuum the booth. Right. So all the big shots, it's 5:00. Let's go to dinner. They all go to their fancy dinners and we're just sitting there, vacuuming the booth. But then we went out and we had all the crazy fun.
Exactly.
And so I would say embrace being crazy and embrace having like early in your career, you're going to be able to get away with things that you're not going to pull off later when you're starting out.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, when you're starting out, they're not all looking at everything you're doing. Later, you get scrutinized for everything.
That is
so take
true.
advantage of being a knucklehead.
Enjoy.
Yeah, and have fun. It's hard work, but don't. Yeah,
you have a lifetime to get to the top. Eventually, if you get there, you'll find it's desolate, it's lonely.
Yeah,
like I'm not there, thank goodness, but I've heard that it's a lonely place, and just one step at a time. And enjoy all those rides before you hit that milestone.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being
You're
here.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Auto Care On Air. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast so that you never miss an episode. And don't forget to leave us a rating and review. It helps others discover our show. Auto Care On Air is proud to be a production of the Auto Care Association, dedicated to advancing the auto care industry and supporting professionals like you. To learn more about the association and its initiatives, visit autocare.org.